Welcome back to another episode of the Cousin
Connection Podcast.
We got you another episode this week, and what?
I think we should redo it.
Oh shoot, we can't see that.
Yes, you can.
Whatever. So yeah, okay, it's not there anymore. But yeah, we're back with another another episode. As you can see, we're rocking some new gear today. Shout out to my sister. Well, our sister technically,
Our
sister.
I claim her too.
Aisha Haroon, she came out with her own merch now, finally, after 10 years of telling her however long she's been doing YouTube.
Yeah.
Successfully. But she came out with some new gear that we're rocking today. So if you want to support her, make sure to go out and check her. I'll probably put the link behind us or something.
Hopefully you guys can catch the restock, because I'm pretty sure everything's sold out right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's not, she's always posting that. Make sure to follow her on Instagram and all her socials, so
exactly.
you get the latest updates on whatever's the new restock happens.
Exactly.
Okay, so first I just want to talk about so yesterday we went to the Hasan Minhaj comedy show. And so when I brought this up to, I think it was me and Nabat, Iman, and you. Mm-hmm. We all went out there to watch the show. When I first brought it up, I didn't think they would actually want to go to the show.
Why?
If you don't know who Hasan Minhaj is, he's basically a Muslim comedian. He's a comedian who happens to be Muslim, and I know I liked him. I really loved him because of his show Patriot Act, and also I already knew about him from his. He was a what did they call those people? Those the hosts on those comedy news shows, coordinator or something like that. But he was basically one of the co-hosts on a comedy show, I believe, with Jon Stewart, and also on Trevor Noah's show, or not Jon Stewart. I think it was the other guy, Steve. Shoot. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Oh, shoot. Sorry, I said that really loud. I kind of clipped out the mics. Let me turn myself down there a bit. But yeah, he was one of those people on the show. And that's
a host, right? A guest host?
No, correspondent. Oh. That's the word. Correspondent. He was a correspondent on the show. It was comedy, but they actually really it was funny because that was a time when the comedic news shows were giving us more the real news than the actual news broadcasting channels or whatever, like CNN or Fox News or whatever. But yeah, that's where I first found out about him. And then of course he had his comedy special called I forget what his first comedy special was called. But yeah, I brought it up to you guys and you're like, yeah, we're down. We got some nice tickets to go to the show. And so how did you like it, by the way?
I thought he was really funny. I was not a longtime fan. I just kind of started watching him when he had the Patriot Act on Netflix, and it's a very different his comedy style is very different from the normal average he's very much a storyteller and mixes, as he says, seriousness and also satire all in one in his storytelling. So I thought he was really funny. I think what was funnier was the guys that were behind us were laughing the entire time. Yeah. So I'm I don't know.
They definitely came ready for a comedy show. They were
they laughed at the first guy. He
had some pretty good jokes. So if you don't know, on comedy shows usually they have a couple openers.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Warm up the crowd. You didn't know about that?
No.
You thought it was just straight up.
Yeah. So I was like, who's?
But even concerts do the same thing. They have open acts.
That I understand. I've never been to a comedy show before.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess, it was your first comedy show too. But it's a very different than a real comedy show. At least, how he has it set up. Because, if people don't know, if you watch his first special, it's very similar to it. Where he kind of, tells a story of his life or, where he's been in the past few years. But he does it in, comedic way. But he does get, serious at times. And it tends to come out of nowhere sometimes. Everybody will be dying laughing, and the next second he'll just get super serious and it'll get pin drop quiet in the whole theater.
I'm not gonna lie, his realness kind of surprised me. I knew he was real.
Yeah.
But when he was talking about his do
you want to give away too much?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. When he was talking about,
there's a reason. If you don't know about this, also for a lot of comedy shows, they lock up your phones and any electronic devices. Because they don't want that stuff getting out.
But what he opened with? Yeah. And it was a very somber topic?
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. is this a comedy? Like, what kind of?
Yeah, if you're not expecting it, it can be a little jarring. But
yeah,
he definitely like made it super lighthearted, and like he knew how to tell it very well, similar to his first special.
Yeah.
But like that was also something you guys weren't kind of used to, which was the fact that they lock up your phone in like little bags.
Yeah, that was annoying.
You carry with you.
Yeah.
But like you can't open them until the end of the show, and they had like a special device to open them up. So how'd you guys deal with that for the whole show?
I just thought it was funny because right before the show started, we were all like, "Okay, let's go to the bathroom." And then when we all looked at each other and we're like, "Wait, we can't even text each other."
Yeah, it's like old school size. Like, okay, we gotta meet up at this spot.
Yeah.
Basically to find each other.
And it's crazy because like right when we sat down, like Amir did one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I was so used to having my watch. I was literally like trying to look at the time the whole time. Like, and we were all kind of like just confused, not confused, but we were like, you don't realize how much you rely on just knowing what time it is because you don't know what time the show's going to start. You don't know if it's starting late or early, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And we're all we literally to the point where we called over security guard and asked them for the time on their watch.
Yeah. And like, I think not having our phones, not having our watches, like literally, I mean, even when we normally hang out, like we do converse, but we're relying on some form of technology. Like either we're showing each other TikToks or whatever. But this time we literally had to sit there and talk.
Yeah. No, but even when we were talking, like we're so used to talking about something, be like, oh, I can't remember first, and then you go for your phone directly to Google it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't realize how much I Google stuff on my phone until we were having conversation. I couldn't give you the facts right away. I kind of have to be like, trust me, bro.
And like to the point where we were trying to see if like he was like, okay, Google, and I was like, hey Siri. Exactly. But our phones didn't pick that.
We should have set that up early.
I know. Oh,
yeah, well. But it was a good show.
It was. Did you like it?
Yeah, I love the show. Of course.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine.
Like, I'm already finished. Just say.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's a different vibe than like watching it on like Netflix or whatever, YouTube. Yeah. Being there in person, I kind of what I did expect and what happened, which I don't think is a spoiler, is when comedians like pick out people from the crowd. Yeah, like I find that kind of stuff funny.
Yeah, he definitely likes. I feel like he does that because if you think about it, he does the same show.
Yeah,
every single time, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like he's always just picking on at least one person here and there, and he knows that when he makes like a certain joke, that he's gonna get a certain response. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like, but he's gotten that show down to a T at this point, right? Like he's done it so many times. He said he had like 150 shows across America, and like he's doing a few in Canada.
See, like, okay, this is the one thing that I don't understand. At least with like artists, like singers and stuff. They can sing a song, and like if they get bored, they can get the audience to sing along or like change up the arrangement. What do comedians do? Do they just like say the same jokes like verbatim? Like,
yeah, like they might use a different tag or like a different way of saying it. A tag is like, I don't know, it's like a phrase, a punchline, that kind of thing. But yeah, for the most part, like the main part of it is the same throughout the whole show.
Don't they get bored?
No, like because they're slightly refining it every time, right?
That's like me when I tell the same story like 30 times.
Yeah, exactly. There are people who tell the same story like their whole life. Like they have that one really funny story they know can like break the ice in any conversation. Yeah, that's basically what comedians are doing.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it was he covered such different topics that like I guess he can. I can see him.
Did you know about all that stuff, all that like controversy and all that stuff that was going on with him?
I mean, I can't say it. I can't say which one.
Were you aware of it? Like just generally, like all that, a lot of the information he was telling on the show.
The stuff that happened on the show, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I was watching it live as it was coming out.
Yeah.
And Ali, Amal's brother, my brother-in-law. We were all like, we would always talk about it, and we'd be like, oh my god, did you see like this happened? So
okay, like, I guess that's maybe one thing to like kind of. Do you think it's important for people to kind of like read up on Hasan? Like if you didn't know anything about Hasan before this show,
I think this was a good introduction of who he was.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you really don't have to read up on him to be able to go and enjoy the show. Yeah, he's already sold out his shows at this point. So if you're outside of Toronto, you might be able to find some tickets. But yeah, I think he's done with the city now.
I know. He's like, you guys bullied me into having a show here.
Yeah, basically. I don't think that's a spoiler.
I don't think so.
Nah, it was good. We're good. Yeah.
But I think it was a good show. I am sad that like he no longer has a show on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a spoiler. It's been known, but
are you more inclined to go to more like comedy shows now?
Yeah, I'd want to.
You'd want to go more shows?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look at more shows.
Yeah, if the second opener.
Yeah,
I thought he was funny.
Yeah. What was his name?
I have no idea.
Shoot.
We couldn't even. That's the thing. You can't record. He literally, one of his lines, Hasan's lines, was like, "You're gonna have to remember this."
Yeah, exactly.
Too bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember what was it. Michael or like the guy? Was it Michael or something like that?
I can't remember now.
Dino.
Dino. It was Dino something. I think it was Dino something.
Stop.
Search up Dino comedian.
How do you spell Dino?
Dino.
That's Dino.
Yeah, same thing. Comedian. Yeah, there it is. Dino Archie.
Look at that memory, you guys.
Shoot, that was really loud. My bad, guys.
Is that me or you?
Yeah, you know what? Let me fix these levels real quick.
Is that me?
I think that was you.
Is it?
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, yeah. So Dino Archie, he was really funny.
Wow, look at my memory. Yeah, I'm actually really impressed right now. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what he looks like?
Yeah.
I couldn't see
you
from that far.
You are really loud, actually.
Really?
That's you, yeah.
That has never been a problem before.
No, I think it's because maybe the gain is all the way up. By the way, I gotta do a wardrobe change right now because I am dying of sweat. Y'all saw the shirt, okay? Just take a look at it, okay? It says
Don't worry, I
Happy
still
looks
have
good on
mine.
You. Check out her merch. And now I'm gonna do a wardrobe change, and we'll be right back. I know we have topics.
Yeah.
But it's just something else that came up during that show because we had time to talk without our phones and everything.
True.
And like my question to them, because I don't know why it just confused me so much. It's in regards to art, and I asked them. I think what was the specific question I asked you guys was like.
I remember you said yesterday when you asked us. You said, "Would you rather know the story behind the art, or would you rather it be up to your own interpretation?"
Yeah, exactly.
I think it depends on the form of art because there are certain shows that I've seen or that I've watched where the ending is like some total cliffhanger and literally open to your own interpretation. And it has me like Googling and like reading articles and stuff about it. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even if it's like, a painting or a photograph where you as the viewer.
Yeah. Or the viewer,
right?
I guess. Yeah.
Where you can literally make up the story in your head. Like I like those types of like thought provoking art pieces, but I also sometimes I don't mind if it's just like, it just tells me the story straight up. But then I know like in my head, I'll be like, oh, like what if it did this and this and this? And, you come up with your own storyline in your head.
Yeah.
So I think if I was going to pick one or the other, I'd rather it be open to my own interpretation. How about for you?
That's why for me, I love people who like take risks and like makes not like make the cookie cutter story that's like really... that's been done 1,000
like
times.
A generic.
Yeah, like someone who does something different or maybe takes like a classic story and like puts a twist on it.
So that's you want the story to be told to you?
No, but like, well, if they are going to tell it to me, like make it interesting or maybe showcase it in a different way where it doesn't look like every other movie or story that's been told. Because technically I believe there's a saying where they say like there's only really like 44 maybe not even that much or like 30 something ways of telling a story or story plots that can be made.
Really?
If that makes sense. Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I can't remember exactly how it breaks down. Maybe you can Google it right now, actually. Check what that says. Like, go on. Here, let me search it myself here.
You search it. The list is right there.
Oh, right there? Okay, so like the 7 plots here are like Overcoming the Monster, Rags to Riches, The Quest, Voyage and Return, Rebirth, Comedy, and Tragedy. So like every story can kind of be broken down into one of these 7, or every piece of entertainment you've watched can be broken down into these kind of 7 story elements or what it plots. Like what Overcoming a Monster, that's a lot of the horror movie plots are like that, right?
Okay.
And of course now like people are trying to get around this, but they're trying to break this stereotype or this but this saying that there's only 7 plots by like putting twists on stories.
You have me thinking like way too hard. I'm trying to find one that doesn't fall into. What about like romance, like the romantic films or whatever? Where would that fall?
Romance. Let's see if there's anything here that says romance. Let me go. I'm sure romance can be
put
into one of these plots here, but then again, like romance. What is that? What kind of story do you mean when you say romance? Do you mean like those what are those movies like? They used to call them chick flicks.
But not all chick flicks. That's just stereotype. Not all chick flicks are romance movies. Like now
they are.
Like,
what are you talking about?
No, now
chick
there's
flicks
like
are exclusively romance movies, are they not?
Legally Blonde is a chick flick.
No, it isn't. Legally Blonde is a comedy.
Are you crazy?
Legally Blonde. I'm sweating here. God, why is this room so hot all the time? I need to turn on the AC. But Legally Blonde is definitely a comedy. Or does she have like a love interest in it?
It's literally Legally Blonde.
Is it?
I mean, it's literally a chick flick.
Did she have a love interest in the movie?
I mean, yeah, but that wasn't the main like you've seen the movie before, right?
Maybe, yeah.
The one with Reese.
Yeah, I remember like vaguely.
So she's a blonde who's like studying to become a lawyer.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
Basically trying to break the stereotypes of blonde.
Overcoming. Exactly. Isn't that one of the plot things here?
I mean, it's not like an over. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, it is. She's overcoming.
The monster? No, there's no monster in this movie.
Or it's a quest story, okay? It's a quest. You know, it had a little bit of comedy in there. I don't know. You can maybe interpret it as rebirth in a way.
What about like psychological thrillers, documentaries, drama? Like,
yeah, like they all of them can kind of fall. These are just like the buzzwords, general? I guess, or general words. But I feel like when you break it down, they kind of fall into these 7 plot lines or plot categories. You know what's a good series to watch that really challenges your ability or your interest in interpreting a story?
Black Mirror.
No, Black Mirror kind of does tell you it straight up in a way. Like it's clear what the story is or what they're hinting to, or in that kind of way. Like it's not. I don't feel like a lot is left up to interpretation at the end. Maybe for a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not interpretation. It's more like asking you a question. It's like
thought provoking.
Yes, thought provoking. Exactly. But I feel like the Love, Sex, and Robots series really kind of like pushes it to the limit on interpretation. Not every episode. There are some that are just like straight up like horror or gore and that kind of stuff. But there's some like there's one called Jibaro, which is
an episode of the show. You mean?
Yeah. So they're all made by different. It's not like a series that it all runs. It's more of an anthology. I think that's what you would call it, where each studio, or there's like 7 or 8 studios that are given money to make a short story or a short film, and they can make it in whatever style that they want. I believe it just has to somewhat involve love, sex, or robots.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I believe it has to interpret not interpret. What do you call it? Actually, no, it doesn't have to involve those kind of things. But it's roughly, some of them are like around one of those 3 things that I mentioned there. Sorry, not love, love, death, and robots. I don't know why I said sex and robots. I think at one point it was changed to something. But yeah, that show, there's an episode called Jibaro, which is artistically, it's like something you've never seen before. It's very, very like not in your face, but it's very different from anything you've ever seen before. If you search up Jibaro, it looks hyper realistic, but also like super animated and almost like uncanny and unrealistic at the same time. It's so like, the first time I watched it, I loved it, but like it was just a lot to take in at once. And it's actually probably one of the best episodes on their season 3, at least to me. And it does leave a little bit up. It does leave the ending up to interpretation on exactly like what's going on here, or like what they're referring to here, what they want you to, and everybody kind of takes a little bit of a different interpretation from it. So I feel like that one will really, really challenge you on whether or not you like just a simple story to be told to you, or if you want to be able to have to like dig through what's being shown to be able to find out what the real meaning is behind that.
Yeah, I don't want to read any of these because they all say like episode explained, you know? explaining the episode.
Oh yeah, so just you should watch the episode.
I've never seen this show before, so
okay, watch it and we'll do some homework. Watch the show, or watch this episode specifically, and then let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, does it matter if I watch the other episodes or what?
No, they're all not related to each other.
That's so I hate when shows do that though.
No. It's think of it like it's not technically a show; it's a series. So they take a bunch of studios, and they give them each like full rights to make whatever they want with that money.
Completely unrelated to each other.
Yeah, completely unrelated. And they're all different stories, short stories being told.
Oh.
And like some of them are hand animated, some of them are 3D animated. The only thing is that none of them include like real people. They have to all be animated in some way.
This is not live action?
No.
I thought these were real people.
I know, that's why I told you, like some of them they make it look so real. Like when you watch this, they're gonna look so real, but then you'll realize what I mean when it looks also unreal at the same time. So watch that when you get the chance.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it another time. But that's just something that I feel that question I was asking on whether or not you like this, like a simple story just told to you, or you have to dig through what's being shown to you to be able to find out what the story is or what they're trying to tell you.
It just depends. Like sometimes I want to do extra homework when I watch a show.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to, I think you were talking about this yesterday, like, you know, when you just want to like escape in a show, like you just want to watch something to just like submerge yourself in it. Like that, I'd rather them just tell me everything as is and I'm just embracing it. But sometimes I like to be like, oh, I wonder what that means. Oh, I wonder what, like, you know. I don't know, but
okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
I don't
know. That was just a conversation we were having in that like 30 minutes where we had no phones and no watches that I wanted to bring up here, and I want to know what your opinions are or what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
What to that question? What your answer is to that question of whether or not you'd like to be told the story straight up or want to like be able to interpret what's happened or what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, or I don't know if you guys have noticed, if any of you have TikTok. But there have been some really, really weird like live on TikTok when you're scrolling, it'll bring up like people's live as a suggested thing that you can click into. And I'm not even joking. Like I've been seeing, like I know in general they have weird ones like people cracking like eggs. Peeling eggs or like
I
pearls.
got that once. Yeah.
Did you see the pearl one?
No.
where they take it out of the clam or whatever pearls come out of.
I never saw that one. I honestly don't get a lot of lives anymore. I think they notice I don't like them.
I never watch lives though, but they always like.
Yeah.
Did you read?
Which? Oh yeah, the one with honestly, when you wrote that down, I was like, what side of TikTok are you on? I have never seen any of those. I could probably
show you my phone now and you'll see like
Okay, but like go ahead.
Let me explain this one.
Yeah.
I'm not really you guys know, I'm not really someone who's into anime. I don't know the ins and outs, okay? I know like maybe 2%.
Yeah.
There were these like, okay, so apparently on TikTok you can have two people with two separate accounts and they do like a versus thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see a lot of those. No,
okay.
There's just a guy that I follow who does it a lot.
So there's these two like girls dressed as anime characters, obviously not speaking English.
Yeah. Why? Obviously, you can wear anime and
okay,
be
my
in
bad.
the Western country.
Was that offensive? Sorry about that. Sorry, my bad. But anyways, they weren't speaking English, so I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like I kind of just stopped to like watch because they were doing this weird thing where like, you know, when you're playing video games and you're about to pick a character, and they kind of just do one of these like stalling. They were doing that, but they would do like, I can't even like mimic them.
What are they making like faces?
Like faces and weird like sounds like meow, like.
Wait, maybe whenever someone donates, they make that sound or something.
Yeah, and like it was just so weird, Amir. Like,
why are you getting these things?
I don't know. So I'm like, what the F is going on? So I clicked into it. Yeah. And then I see all the commenting like, no, that's a man. Like, what is this? What's going on? I'm like, wait, what? I wasn't even thinking it's a man. I'm just thinking, why are they making these weird like things with their hands?
Yeah. I've never seen this once on TikTok.
Every time like
I'm on the good side of TikTok.
Every time the viewers like donated stuff to them, one of them would like fall back like she was getting dizzy or something. Honestly, I have no idea. Anyway,
yeah, because I have seen that where like
so you have seen that?
No, I haven't seen that specifically, but I've noticed that like there are some pages where like if someone donates,
yeah,
they'll like make a sound or like something will pop up on their page or something will happen.
The person did this
when
though.
they donate. Yeah, but in your case, I guess the person was doing it, which
like,
is because I know they do that a lot on like on Twitch. Like on Twitch, when someone donates, they might not like do a weird thing like that, but they'll say like, you know, shout out to blah 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 or like
okay, so they can see like,
yeah, they can see who's donating. But I don't know, I've never seen this side of TikTok.
Did you see the two boys in the bed?
No.
So like there's like this wallpaper, okay? There's a bed and they're just like it's the weirdest thing. They're laying there under the covers, their eyes are closed, but they're doing this.
Wait, where's the perspective of the camera?
Like it's there. Imagine it's there.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're like lying down like this.
But how do you see their faces?
Because it's facing them.
But they're like back, so like flat, no? So if the camera's back here.
Maybe it's like higher.
Okay,
higher
yeah.
And their eyes are like closed.
Yeah.
Like this, and they're just going like this. But there's like a siren in the background.
What?
So like the siren goes off, I guess, every time someone donates.
Yeah.
And then they do this like this dance move. And then it goes silent and then they freeze. And they pretend like they go back
like
to sleep.
Whatever movement they were doing before.
Like they pretend like they go back to
sleep.
Then the siren comes off and they like dance around again like this. It's so...
That siren's probably going off whenever they get a donation.
Amir, it's the weirdest thing. And then the other...
How long are you watching these lives for?
Because I'm like, what the hell is this? And the last one that I thought was like very creepy, and this is when I was like, I need to get off my phone. Yeah. There's like 5 or 6 like kids and like they look really poor and like this dusty like cave looking thing.
And they're streaming live on TikTok. Okay.
And they're like, they don't speak English either, but they're like, help me. Like, Amir, I have to like pull up my phone. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I clicked into it like, oh my God, what's wrong with these kids? Like, why are they... First of all, how'd they get a phone with internet connection in a cave? Why are you saying help me? And then all of the comments were saying it's a scam. Don't donate to them.
Well, duh.
But there was like thousands of people watching them. Then I'm like, how do you get people to watch your lives like that?
What's happened to TikTok?
I don't know. That's why I'm confused.
I like the lives that I'm getting are like people I either follow or I get the plant guy a lot. There's a guy who like really good at knowing plants and stuff. But like,
I follow him.
You follow him? Yeah, I get him sometimes too. But I've never seen that side of TikTok.
I promise you, if I pull up my phone right now, I could probably.
I want to see. Pull up your phone right now. I want to see what's on your live.
Where is it?
Maybe you like your algorithm got like mixed up with someone else's for a day, and they're just showing you a bunch of stuff that like oh shoot, switch it back. And they got it back to you.
No, but it was like throughout this entire week I've been seeing the anime one especially.
I want to know, are any of you guys getting these lives? Like, I have never seen this.
Really?
Yeah.
The next time I see you and I'm gonna like DM it. I don't even know if you can DM
I don't know
lives.
How you send a live. Just search.
But I'll message
send like
you.
the at or whatever.
I'm like, go on right now. Look at this. But yeah, like it was just very weird.
No, but then I'll start getting them.
True. I think that's what it was. Because once I started watching one, it just kept like bringing it back up on my thing. So. And then I thought about like the kids saying like help me or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, people are actually you can make money.
Yeah, you can definitely. That's why a lot of like TikTokers will go on live once they get enough followers, because at that point people can just automatically donate to you. Like you're not really beholden to how many views you're getting, because views are so inconsistent on TikTok. Yeah. That you'd rather just go on live and see if people will be willing to support you just by sending, because those things that they send, I believe, are money.
So like even that concept is wild to me. Imagine begging people to send you gifts on TikTok.
Hey guys, we're trying to get 10K because we can do that.
You need 10K?
Yeah, you need 10K to go live.
All right, well, we're 30% of the way there.
Yeah. Follow us on TikTok, guys.
Follow us on TikTok, guys, and we'll go on live. And
make sure also to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
I was literally getting ready to say it, and you're just like, so let's get into this week's topic. I was like,
my bad. And like the video.
Midway through the episode?
Whatever, okay.
So now we're going to get into one of the questions that we got from one of our viewers. I'm just going to read it exactly how it was sent, and then we can kind of get into it. Mm-hmm. So she said, I've been struggling with my Iman lately, and I guess letting go of the past. How do you accept the trauma from your past and move on? Also, how do you build your Iman when you hit rock bottom? Mm-hmm. We are going to get into this topic.
It also has a sub that says therapy verse turning back to Allah.
Yeah, I added that.
Oh, okay.
It was like...
Oh, my bad. I just spoiled a little bit, guys.
That's okay. It was a cue to... Not a cue.
What?
Something to like
Remember.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get into it in approximately 5 seconds. We'll be back after the break.
Yeah, we're back.
Look at the crescendo, I think is what it's called. Okay, so we said we'd get into it. Before we do, I just want to say we actually do have an episode that is sort of related to this topic called Hitting Rock Bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to link it up here so you guys can check it out if you haven't already. It's one of our more earlier episodes where I truly believe like it was our first time being vulnerable on the podcast. I think we were holding back a bit because it was our first time. So hopefully today we can kind of really dissect this topic. Do you want to give your thoughts first, or do you want me to?
No, you can give your thoughts first on this one. Don't worry. I always give my thoughts first. So I feel like I gotta like.
No, I wanted you to.
No.
I wanted to know what you were going to say.
I'm so bad at this. I'm always the one who starts it off. Okay, I'll give my thoughts first.
Okay,
I'll give my thoughts first. Whatever. Okay. But yeah, just to answer your first question there, where you're saying like, how do you deal with past trauma? First off, like it's all an individual basis. It depends on what that trauma is. Like it could be something, I don't know if you want to say like less severe, where like you're dealing with like, I don't know, parents being very controlling when you're younger. And it could be like trauma, like you were abused in many ways as a child. So like it's so many degrees and like how to deal with it. I can't tell you how to deal with the more extreme stuff, but with the less extreme stuff, I feel like one way we sort of deal with trauma, just to kind of go back to like the Hasan Minhaj show, because I don't know if it's a spoiler, but he kind of gets into that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But like a lot of us deal with it with humor, finding people we can relate to who have probably been through the same thing and making light of it over time. I don't know if that you would consider that dealing with it, but it's a way to kind of, it's like a cathartic way of like getting it out there.
Yeah.
And then trying to minimize it in a way that it doesn't affect you long term. Also, what?
I mean, joking about it could be like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But I think what you're alluding to is like, first of all, just acknowledging that this trauma happened.
Exactly.
Because sometimes people like erase it from their memory, or they just like literally have a mental block on this specific part of their life. So I think if you can even acknowledge that something happened, that's a really big step. Yeah,
exactly. And then I want to take your point, because now that you have it there, I was going to mention it.
No, like that was the point of it though.
Oh, about then taking the next step on how to deal with it?
Yeah, like it was like, because okay, so I guess we'll
like
say
it
what
just
the point is.
Also another thing is that like just going back to the individual, like some people are what you might consider trauma to one person, what they wouldn't consider it trauma, even though it might have affected how they act or who they are and day to day now. So they don't feel like it's something they even need to work on or even move on from. They just feel like it's a part of life. I feel like that's similar to like how our parents kind of dealt with trauma. They kind of just fed like, this is life. This is how we.
But that's an example.
How things are.
That's an example of someone not acknowledging that they have trauma.
I guess
they might not recognize it as they just say, "Oh, this is life."
Yeah, because if you go to someone in like the third world and you tell them what your trauma is, of course, the worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you. So like,
that's a good way of putting it.
Exactly.
Very simple but effective.
Yeah. So like, if you told people in like a third world country, not to say like everybody in the third world country is having like a worse time, but like if you told someone who was like grown up in poverty, but you grew up in more of like a middle class, and you told them your traumas, they would like be like, what are you talking about? This is nothing compared to what we've been through. So yeah, I honestly, what I'm trying to get to is like, I don't know how to exactly answer that, but I feel like your answer to it would probably be what I would eventually tell you, or what it should lead to.
Oh, you're just throwing it right back at me.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly.
I mean, I think the person who asked this kind of answered part of it by saying, how do you accept the trauma, is when you acknowledge that you have trauma from the past or are currently going through it. The first step is always going to be acknowledgement. And then in terms of like, how do you accept like, okay, this happened to me? I think you have to work towards not letting whatever that is define you. Because, sometimes like I don't know, let's say, this is a really like a weird example, okay, but it just popped into my head. Let's say you got run over by a car and like because of that you had to get your leg amputated from your knee down. That's something very traumatic.
Yeah.
But now you can either choose to go about your life identifying as the guy with one leg, or you can just continue to live a normal life. Like you've accepted, okay, this is what happened to me. This is my life. I have one leg. You can either let it define you, or you can just continue your life as a normal person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that sometimes we get in our heads and we let these experiences define us, and we're like, oh, you know, for example, today I'm having a really bad day and I'm going to let that day continue as a bad day for the rest of the day. So like, even if something great happens, let's say, I don't know, you get a promotion at work, because you're having a bad day, it's just not going to mean as much to you, you know? So don't let whatever that thing is define your entire life or your entire, fine. It's, you know, if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day, whatever. But don't let it define you. But then other than that, I think also it's okay to ask for help if you need to. If you're able to deal with it on your own, then, you know, there's a lot of self-help resources. I know like Amir and I used to talk about books all the time in our past episodes. We've thrown out so many different recommendations. So there are ample resources online for self-help. But if you maybe it can be overwhelming and you don't know where to start, you can also just, this is the point that I brought up. It's either like seeking therapy is a great option for a lot of people, because I feel like therapy allows a professional to kind of like hear your side of the story and then help you pinpoint, you know, certain aspects of your life, how to deal with them in a healthy way, and, you know, help you kind of navigate through this journey called life, as you know. The second point to that is also just turning back to Allah. Like for us, we kind of speak from our own personal experiences, and we are Muslim. So for us, a lot of hardships that we may face, we find ease in those hardships by turning to our Creator. So, you know, and I know that some people might have differing opinions on that, because you can't just, you know, pray your depression away, for example. But there is like, it's not something that we're just making up. Like it really is effective. I know that like, if you're stressed, personally, if I'm stressed one day, like, and I'm working, playing Quran on a loop instantly calms me down. Like it works like a charm. You know what I mean? And I think you can still do both hand in hand. Like, I don't think that going to therapy and also becoming more spiritual negate each other. I think they can work together and really be effective for someone. So that's kind of my long answer. And in terms of like how to move on from something in the past.
Well, like because that was a good example where you mentioned person, because the person getting like a leg amputated, because a lot of people can't really wrap their head, or some people to this day still can't wrap their head around mental trauma. So, but if you give them an example of physical trauma and like equate it in a way, being like try and picture someone who's lost a leg and them having to deal with that, and then say like switch it up now to something mentally has happened to them, right? Like maybe they're the example I used earlier is maybe they were abused, like how they can move on from that. And like you said, you know, don't try not to let it define you. To other examples, like you mostly see people who have maybe gone through like cases like that or something. They become advocates to
I guess that's an example of someone letting it define them in a
positive way. So you can do that. You can take that trauma and let it define if you're gonna let it define it in a positive way, and maybe be the change to avoid other people from maybe going through what you went through, depending on what that is. Because I'm trying to look at this of more like, I guess you would say holistic, or just like general trauma, right? Because like trauma can take on so many forms, right? So it's hard to say it's hard to pinpoint a specific answer for it. But that's just as the examples that I've seen in the public eye of people who have gone through different variations of trauma, whether it be like post-traumatic stress disorder or abuse or like something physically happening, like a crash. A lot of them, at least the positive ones I've seen, are they were able to take that incident that's happened to them or multiple incidents and turn it into something that they can work to lessen in a way, or not lessen, but like
maybe create awareness.
Yeah, create awareness for it and avoid other people from kind of going through what they went through.
Yeah, and I think to kind of go back to the point that you made where you said, I can't remember your exact words, but something about like your trauma is your trauma or something like that.
The worst thing that's happened to you is the worst thing that's happened to you.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think that you also have to remember that, let's say, if we're looking at trauma on a scale, 10 being the very worst, and you in your life, you have experienced 10 in terms of the severity of your trauma, and then someone who's at a 2 is maybe your friend is at a 2 and they're confiding in you. In your mind, because you're at a 10, you're like, bro, your life is easy. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But to the 2, the person who's experiencing it at 2, like, that could be the end of their world.
That could be, for them, that could be a 10.
Yeah, exactly. So it's,
everybody's 10 is different. That's another way of saying, I guess.
Yeah. And it's not to say that you should be minimizing anyone else's experience, because your experience is unique to you. But I just think that you kind of have to look at it from an individual standpoint. Like, deal with what you have to deal with. If you're in a place where you can advise someone else because they're confiding in you, you can do that. But I would strongly suggest, like, don't minimize someone else's experience when you're listening to them because of whatever you're going through. And then to answer the last question,
so the second question, or the second part of that question,
did we say how do you move on?
Was that's sort of what we were referring to. Yeah. But are you talking about? But those are ways of moving on, right? That we were mentioning there. Like, of course, technically by making it into a positive, you haven't moved on, but like,
you're kind of just dealing. What
exactly do you mean by move on?
Maybe like, how do you,
like, it's never gonna not be a part of you. That's what I feel.
That means you're letting it define you.
No. It'll still defining you means it make it the only part of you. But to act like it's never happened. Yeah. Like, is that what you mean by move on? Or by move on, do you mean like it doesn't affect you? Yeah. Or you don't let it affect you in a negative way?
Yeah, because maybe, like, something could happen to you and you let it impact every aspect of your life. That's, I would say, is not moving on. But if something happens to you, you have a period where it's impacting you, and then you are like, okay, now I'm ready to move on. We can use anything as an example for that. Like, I don't know, a breakup. That's a perfect example. A breakup happens. It's shitty. You're sad, angry, whatever you're feeling for a specific amount of time. And then you reach a point where you're either like tired of feeling that way, or you're just ready to move on. There's so many different ways to move on from a breakup, though. Like, I think we feel like there's no one way for us to be like, this is what you have to do. There are different ways you can, if you want us to talk more about that, I mean, we've also had episodes on that before, but we can also go into that if you would like. But I think once you've reached your point where you're like, all right, I'm ready, moving on basically is kind of just like, imagine you're driving a car, and once you pass one landmark, you're just not going to turn back. You're just going to keep going straight. And of course, moving on, healing, we already know that it's not linear. So you're not going to constantly go in a straight line. Like, sometimes you might take a dip. Sometimes you might make a left turn, a right turn. Like, you have to just embrace it as it all comes, but don't ever see those turns as like a major setback, because it's not. Like, it's okay if you take one step back. That's just life. You just have to continue to.
Like, that's why we always mention, people online at least mention triggers a lot of the time, right? Like, you may still have triggers that you're not aware of, or that you're aware of, and then, like, you try to avoid them, but they might be here and there. And like, I don't think anyone ever truly moves on 100% from anything. That happens significantly in their life, if that makes sense.
Something that I actually learned from therapy was, and this is like it changed my life, was when you are able to identify the triggers, you can actually train your brain to take a different, like, is it called like a neuropath or something like that? But you can basically train your brain to adjust how you think of certain things. So normally when we get triggered by certain things, like there's a science behind it. I don't know all the correct terminology, but like, you know, something triggers you and it like results in you reacting in a certain way. You're either upset.
It goes to a different part of your brain depending on how you react. Like I believe it's like if it's a trigger where your body almost reacts involuntarily, it goes directly to your prefrontal cortex, because that's where it goes to your shoot, I forget what the word is now. Prefrontal cortex, where like your brain is doing the thinking. So what it goes,
I don't know.
There's a part of your brain that reacts almost instinctively, and if certain things happen to you early on in your life, your brain can like create that path where it goes past your ability to think about it, and like it just goes directly into your
reaction.
Yeah, to the reaction.
You know, when you're able to, like, the thing that I learned was that when you're able to identify what your triggers are, there are I have this like chart of different I guess like negative reactions, and how to train your brain to adjust your reactions to it, so that you then go from being extremely triggered by certain things to being, you know, relatively unfazed by it.
So to kind of like put a button on that, go to therapy and speak to a professional who can give you a better answer.
It really does.
Not to make light of it. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we can tell you as much as we can, but like we probably have things that we're dealing with that we still don't know how to deal with. So like at the end of the day, it's probably best to go to a professional. And if you feel like it's affecting you to where you can't move on with your life or do certain things that you want to do in life, and speak to them, and they can give you, I don't know, things to do or things to practice to be able to get over and move on from these past traumas that you have.
Yeah, and then to kind of hit that last question of how do you build your Iman when you hit rock bottom?
Oh yeah, so there's a second part of it. I don't think we read that question out completely, but it also says on the second question also, how do you build your Iman when you've hit rock bottom?
I just said that.
Oh, you know, I want to see like, okay.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
No, okay, I'll cut out that part. No. Now I'm embarrassed. Now I'm embarrassed.
You can just cut out my part.
No, it's okay.
So that you said it for the first time.
No, it's like, no, it's not.
No one's going to know.
No, it's okay.
They're not going to know. Don't worry.
They're going to know.
Yeah, what would you say? Like, how do you...
I want you to answer this question, Sara. Come on now.
Answer the question, Amir.
Just answer it.
Okay.
I have an answer, but I don't want to hear yours first.
I know. I want to hear yours to inspire my answer.
No. I want you to think critically here.
Again, I can only speak on personal experience here. So when you feel like your Iman is running on E, your Iman tank,
okay.
When it's running on E, I think that it's always good to just like go back to the basics. One thing that I know really impacts your Iman, and like not to get all preachy, but this is just, I'm just putting it out there, is that when you feel so disconnected from your religion, that's when your Iman is very low, right? So you need to start reconnecting again, whether that be through Quran, whether that be through minimizing your music intake possibly, or like watching too many shows, like, because when we're so submerged in the dunya, you know, you feel very removed. Like it's like, think of it as a spectrum, right? Like usually you're the most happiest when you're like in a moderate, like middle ground area. But when you're too far to one side, closer to the dunya side, you feel very disconnected from the deen. And so for me, what usually works is I like to attend lessons, listen to lectures online. There's so many different lectures online. Also, making a lot of dua, I find is very like peaceful. If you wake up for Fajr, I find that also really impacts your mood for the rest of the day. It usually puts me in a better mood. I know it's like extremely hard and you're tired and nobody wants to get out of their bed, but trust me, bro. That's the tagline for this episode. And just being forgiving towards yourself, because I think we're a little bit too hard on ourselves and we constantly compare ourselves to our peers or other people that you may see online or whatever. And, you know, I think that one's religiosity, it's like very advertised online. Like people are just openly posting things online now. So you might see a TikTok or an Instagram reel of somebody showing their a day in the life, and they're showing themselves praying, for example. And you might look at your situation and you're like, oh, I don't pray, you know, and there's 5 prayers in the day. And if you're struggling with prayers, for example, maybe start with 1, work your way up to being consistent with that 1 prayer. And then once you feel like, okay, I'm good with this 1 prayer, now incorporate 2. And then as you go on, like, it's basically, I feel like this rule applies to like everything in life. Like whenever you're trying to rebuild a habit, you have to start off small. You can't just do every single thing all at once, because you're not going to be able to maintain that over time. So, you know, that's just my opinion and advice in terms of how to kind of build your way back up.
Mm-hmm. I sort of interpreted this question a little bit differently, because it says like, how do you build your iman when you've hit rock bottom? So like, I'm not sure, like, are you saying that your iman is low, but also you're like depressed or something, or you feel like you're at rock bottom? Or is it just your iman that's at rock bottom and everything else is kind of not fine, but like, yeah, like kind of just good in life, and you feel like you've kind of distanced yourself from your iman as much as possible?
That's okay.
Yeah, because like your answer there are pretty acceptable. Like me, I would kind of there's something I mentioned last week when it comes to someone who wants to get back into like a healthy lifestyle and like immersing yourself in the culture and the people that surround it, and following people that advertise it, or not advertise, but like, yeah,
motivate you.
So yeah, immersing yourself in the culture and the community that surrounds, in your case, if you're saying Iman, like Islam in general.
Do you mean like on social media?
Yeah, on social media, like the things that you see, like unfollow the things that you feel like are giving you any negative thoughts in regards to Iman, or people that aren't really helping you towards building it, and follow more people that in within your community that are kind of showcasing it in a way that'll motivate you to start practicing a lot more, because you might be practicing everything fine, just your iman. So iman means like your faith, right? Also, one thing is like, this is something I kind of envy of reverts or converts, is like they got to approach Islam like not knowing anything about it. So all of their questions were answered, and that's the reason that they were able to like convert to Islam.
Oh, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but then there are a lot of people who maybe their parents, they were born Muslim, but their parents didn't really push the religion on them outside of them telling them to be Muslim and pray and all these things. But like they never truly went into Islam and told them like why this is this way or why that. So like when you have all these questions, you might not have been encouraged by your parents or whoever to ask questions so you can get the answers. So that's kind of why I envy them, because then it might lead you to have all these questions and not look for the answer because you feel like you're going to be judged for it. Because if a person who's looking into Islam is asking all these questions, they're most likely not going to be looked at in a weird way. Like, why are you asking all these questions? What's wrong with you? Are you saying that you're not Muslim anymore or something like that? But if you're someone who's already Muslim and you're asking all these questions, you feel like you're going to be looked at differently, which is unfortunate, because you should be able to ask as many questions as you need if you feel like you have any questions in regards to, I don't know, whatever it is in Islam. Because once you have those answers, I feel like your iman will be much stronger, and also leave a lot less in your brain for the like to be for your brain to kind of, what do you call it again, work over, or like think about too much, because you can overthink something in your mind as trying to ask a question, and then your opinion starts to come into play.
Yeah.
When you could easily just go to someone you feel is trustworthy in religion or is knowledgeable and just ask them all the questions you have. So your mind is at ease, essentially. And I feel like a lot of people who struggle with their iman, especially these days, because there's so many differing opinions and you're always online listening to people with differing opinions, that it can kind of confuse you, especially as a young person, especially as a Gen what's the latest one? Gen Z. Yeah, just especially as a Gen Z, where from day one, when you have that phone in your hand, you're being exposed to the whole world and all these different opinions and everything. And when you're not steadfast in your own religion at that point, especially at a young age, you can get confused very quickly. So I encourage you to go ahead and ask any questions you might have, so your mind can be in ease, and it'll also build up your iman, and you'll be more inclined to, or I feel like it'll build you back from wherever you find yourself in iman when it comes to hitting rock bottom there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. And I think I don't agree with judging like people who are born Muslim if they are curious or just like wanting to learn more about Islam, because just because you're born Muslim doesn't mean you're born with all the knowledge of the religion. Yeah. Like, you have to learn just as much as anybody else does.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, if you don't have that opportunity to learn, and now you find yourself, you know, in your late teens or 20s, whatever age you're at, where you're like, you know what, I want to become more in touch with my faith, but I just don't know where to start. Don't ever feel, like Amir said, don't feel shy to start learning. Like, your journey to learn about your religion, there's no age limit on that. Like, you can literally be a student for your entire life, and that's totally acceptable, totally fine. But I do understand that point that you were making about converts, and how, you know, for them, the one thing that I admire about them is they got to see what life was like outside of Islam, which I feel like it really it allows them to fall more deeply in love with their religion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how should I put this? You won't understand because you don't wear glasses, but it's like when you, for those of, you know,
I can see clearly now.
Literally. For those of you who wear glasses, you know what I'm talking about, where you wake up in the morning, you can't see anything, okay? Life is just blurry, okay? Nothing's making sense to you. You can't see. And the minute you put your glasses on, the colors are more brighter. You can see everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might not be the best analogy. I don't know, because I was born Muslim, but I assume that's what it's like for them, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, I've heard from several different people who have converted to Islam that it's a very lonely journey, because, you know, for us, we are privileged. Like, alhamdulillah, we were born into Islam where our entire families are Muslim.
Yeah.
But if you're converting to the religion, that doesn't mean your entire family converts with you.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're converting by yourself. You're lucky if you have a friend or a sibling or a parent that converts with you. And so, you know, my heart goes out to them. May Allah make it easy for those who convert, and they literally have to do it on their own and build a chosen family from scratch, where I feel like are all together, and we kind of are lucky in the sense that we have
our privilege in the case that we don't have to do that work or that legwork to find our community.
Like, we have each other. If I find that we motivate each other. Like, if we're hanging out and we're like, oh, gotta pray, we're all getting up to pray, you know what I mean? And if someone isn't getting up, it's like the guys don't question the girls, because, you know, but the guys would question the guys, like, get your ass up.
Yeah, exactly. But that can also be a detriment to a point, because people will feel, at least people who are in those communities will feel like if they do have any questions, that they might not be able to go to them, because, like, they might ask them, like I mentioned earlier, they might judge them for it, even though if they probably did, they wouldn't be. Yeah. But there are people who might have that, what do you call it when you, like, have something that holds you back? That conservative, there's a word for it. There's someone shouting right now. What's that word? Come on, Sara. You know what? I never took my pre-workout today, and that's why. Last week I took my pre-workout, and my recall and my ability to use the vocabulary I know I have somewhere in my brain was so much more better.
I spot you though most of the time.
Well, today you're feeling that.
Because I don't know what you're trying to say.
It's that word's like resistive or like reluctant. I don't even know what the sentence I was saying anymore. Okay, guys. So I think we've answered our question, or your question. If you do want us to elaborate later, whoever asked that question there, you can, always contact us. But, I'm just saying there's probably like some better people speak to.
Amir's basically telling you get some help.
No. I'm just really bad at answering.
No, but I think it's definitely like like I love this topic.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your head up.
Yeah.
As long as you live to see another day, that's always another chance at life and another chance to do better for yourself. So, yeah, I think that's all we have for today, guys.
I really gotta go, guys. I'm like late. Okay, but
gotta do the outro.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you again for listening and watching. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to comment. Leave your replies to the questions we've asked y'all in this podcast.
And if you have any advice to the questions that we asked,
yeah, exactly. If you feel like you can give a better point, make sure to leave it in there. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Cousin Connection Pod. And yeah, I think that should be it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.